as you... What's put the jolly in the Jolly Roger? Rum! How does your crew stare death in the eye without... to building the lumberyard. It's that to make new ships, buildings, and peg legs. Set your crew to building the lumberyard. It's that to make new ships, buildings, and peg legs. Set your crew to building the lumberyard. Smartly done, Captain. Be sure to upgrade it as you're aiming.
If you're looking to produce professional looking live streams, then there's some great tools around these days to help you do it. In this video, we're going to cover the 3 most popular live streaming platforms: OBS, XSplit Broadcaster, and Wirecast, and I'm going to share my thoughts on each of them to help you make the best decision for which one's right for you. Hey, it's Justin Brownie from Primal Video. We release a ton of content to help you get better results with your videos faster. If you haven't hit that big subscribe button yet, then make sure you do, and all the links to everything that we're going to cover in this video and all of our videos can always be found in the description below. Let's jump into it. Okay, so the top 3 live streaming platforms are, as we said, OBS, XSplit Broadcaster, and Wirecast. Now, the 3 of them have a lot of similarities. They'll all allow you to create professional looking broadcasts for one. They'll also let you live stream to platforms like Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitch, and to an RTMP or to a custom source. They'll also all let you do screen recording or local disk recording of your live stream, so you can use them as screen recorders as well, or you can create a local backup of your live stream so that you've got it for re-upload to YouTube or another platform. They'll also have things like built-in color correction and green screen effects, so a lot of common areas between the 3. But the biggest difference between the 3 is the pricing, the features, what they allow you to do, and how easy each piece of software is to get up and running. And make sure you stick around to the end because I'll share with you which live streaming platform I use and which new one I think you should definitely keep an eye on. Okay, so the first piece of software that we're going to cover is Wirecast Studio, and it sells for $495 US. So it's the most expensive piece of software that we're going to cover in this video, but it's also got the most amount of features and most amount of control over your live stream. Now there is a free version of Wirecast available. It's called Wirecast Play or Wirecast for YouTube. It is a really cut down version of Wirecast, so you're missing a heap of the important features to be able to get professional live streams, and you can also only live stream to YouTube. So for the purposes of this video and talking about software that will allow you to create professional looking live streams, it doesn't cut it in my opinion. So Wirecast Studio, it's cross-platform, which means you can install it on both Mac and PC. It's also probably the most powerful, gives you the largest amount of features out of the three pieces of software. So it's really easy to use, it's really easy to set up and navigate, and the interface is really intuitive. So for anyone that's just jumping in and hasn't used any of these three programs before, you'll be able to get up to speed quickest with Wirecast. And if something goes wrong, God forbid, then you'll be able to find the problem, at least in my experience, much quicker in Wirecast and fix the issue, especially while you're live, than with the other two. Wirecast also has direct integration with Facebook Live, meaning you can view your comments and see how many people are on and look at all the hearts and the thumbs up directly from within Wirecast. So that is huge. And in addition to that, there's two other key features that Wirecast has that the others don't that really make it a standout. The first is that it gives you multiple output options, so you can broadcast live to multiple platforms or multiple RTMP streams at the same time. So that's really powerful. And the second is the live streaming presets that Wirecast has built in for your output options. So just a matter of selecting YouTube, and then you've got all the different preset options for the different qualities and bit rates that you can stream at. Both of the other two, XSplit Broadcaster and OBS, you'll have to manually key in the bit rates and keyframes and resolutions that you want to broadcast at. So especially for anyone new, or even for someone that knows what they're doing, it's so much easier just to be able to select a pre-built template or preset for the different live streaming options. So that's a massive feature, and it's something that adds to the overall usability and experience of using Wirecast Studio. Okay, now onto XSplit Broadcaster, which is quite a bit cheaper than Wirecast Studio. This one you've got options of a monthly subscription or an annual subscription, so technically you don't really own the software, you're just licensing the software either monthly or annually. And currently a monthly subscription for the standard or the personal version is around $5 per month. If you want the professional version, then it's up around $8.30 per month. XSplit Broadcaster is Windows only. There's currently no Mac version available for it. But what it does have is a really powerful scene creation tool where you can easily drop your graphics and move everything around, even your titles in 3D space. So you can create some really good looking scenes and some really professional live streams, literally drag and drop and reposition everything to how you want it, more so than the other two, more so than Wirecast and OBS. They both give you those features to some degree, but XSplit has it hands down on scene creation. Now, in regards to the interface and usability of the program, it is really easy to use. It may not be as polished or as seamless and as intuitive as Wirecast, but it's still really easy to use and to navigate through and find everything you need to get set up easily and to have your shot looking good. You will need to have some understanding of bit rates and codecs that are recommended for your internet connection and the platform that you want to broadcast to in order to get the best results out of this software, because you will be manually keying them in. There are no presets. But that's really not a big thing to overcome or to learn, and to lock those settings down so that you only have to do them once. Now, another really powerful and really useful feature in XSplit Broadcaster is the Skype integration, the connectivity with Skype. So you don't need to worry about setting up an external monitor and screen sharing that monitor and cropping the area down that you normally have to do in other broadcasting software. Having the tight integration means you can literally just sign in with your Skype account. When you make your calls, they're all brought directly in as a video source to XSplit Broadcaster. So that's really powerful and really seamless, and it makes creating live video content or broadcasting your interviews live really easy. Okay, so now onto the third piece of software, which is OBS, or Open Broadcast Software. Now this one is the cheapest because it's free. Now just because it's free definitely doesn't mean it's not capable of creating professional looking live streams. It's actually probably the most popular or the most used piece of software for broadcasting live, and it could have something to do with the price tag. but the feature set in it is really solid and really good as well. Now, just like Wirecast, OBS is cross-platform, which means you can get a Windows version, a Mac version, but there's also a Linux version of OBS available as well. In my opinion, it's got the hardest to use or the least intuitive interface of the three, but it is something that once you get your head around and get used to using, you will be able to get quite proficient in it. And just the same as XSplit, there are no presets built in for your live streaming. So when you choose the platform that you want to go live to, you'll then have to sort out the keyframing and your bit rates in order to get the best results for your bandwidth and for the location you're going to be broadcasting to. Now, besides the price tag of nothing and still having all the power and performance to create a really professional looking live stream, one of the key features of OBS that I like is the plugins that are available. There's a plugins directory on the OBS website with a heap of plugins in there to really help you expand functionality and really customize OBS to work the way that you'd like. So that's pretty powerful. So those are the three most popular live streaming platforms. You've got Wirecast, which is the most expensive, but probably has the most amount of features. You've got XSplit, which is much, much cheaper. It's Windows only, but it's still easy to use. And then you've got OBS, which will run on everything, Mac, Windows, and Linux. It is the most complicated to use, but once you get your head around it, it's really, really powerful as well. So the software that I personally use and highly recommend is Wirecast Studio. Yes, you can create great live streams in OBS and in XSplit, but Wirecast Studio is definitely worth the $495 price tag based on everything we've just covered in this video, based on the fact that you have multiple output streams, based on how easy it is to use, how logical it is to use. You don't have to get buried deep in menus to find things and to fix up any issues if there are any. For me, it is the most powerful, most professional solution for live streaming, and it's definitely worth considering. Now, with live streaming currently being a rapidly growing, rapidly changing industry with heaps of stuff going on, one new platform or new service offering that's definitely worth checking out is BeLive.tv. It's currently just for Facebook Live, but if they branch out to YouTube Live as well and to other platforms, then this will be an absolute game changer. All ready to create a Facebook live stream solo and bring in your Facebook comments, and even to bring in an interview, to have two people live on a Facebook Live. There's no easier way to do it than just simply logging into the website. There's no software that you need to maintain or update. It's all done by them. So that's a really interesting one to keep an eye on. And if you're only looking currently to broadcast to Facebook Live, then definitely check it out. Okay, so those are my thoughts on Wirecast versus XSplit Broadcaster versus OBS. If you found this video helpful, then make sure you click that big subscribe button if you haven't already, and give this video a thumbs up. And linked on screen now is a video to help you get the best from your YouTube live streams. I'll talk to you soon.
Most popular streaming softwares? Is that how you say software? I'm not sure. Applications. Yeah, so we're going to be looking at, some of the pros and cons of the most popular software streaming options, delving into system requirements a little bit, and also trying to sort of give you some advice and help for which option might be right for you.
Yeah, so any questions you guys have, this is probably a great show to throw your questions in, because it's funny, we've kind of been doing these shows recently since that frequently asked question a couple weeks ago. This is a big one that we see a lot of. What's the best software to use? Okay, so please put your questions in the chat, YouTube, Facebook, email us live@everyband.com if you want to know more offline questions. Also in our forums, there's threads on all of our products. In this case, today is software. Products you want to look at. So, go let's talk about it. There are many options. We're going to look at some more of these OBS, XSplit, Wirecast. Some are a little different, some of them have
mixing digital and audio sources, which means that there could be some minor variance in the latency between what comes out of the camera and what comes through our mixing. So we made some minor adjustments. Actually, I'll just show you very quickly. Actually ran a test. A signal generator. So actually find out exactly what the latency of your camera is. We detected out of the camera about 16 milliseconds. Audio delay. So that should sync things up a little bit better. Let us know what you think. It should be a little better. The first thing for sync, you can be off by a small amount, but when audio syncs video, it's more noticeable. I think that's just a matter of how our brains work actually. We're used to audio being a little echoes and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let us know how that works. Adjustments, and the nice part is with Pearl, we have a really adjustments once we measure it. So,
and if you're using a similar system where you have you're mixing sources and you do want to determine the audio delay, you can use a clapper tool, record a video file, and take it into the computer to see how many frames are off. You have to adjust by a frame or two on the frame. 29.97 video. 33 milliseconds. So very easy to make some frame adjustments. So I think that's it for news this week.
Well, this last week, right after we Photo Joseph went live at B&H. So I don't know how many of you guys checked that out. I
He's definitely a camera.
He is
Camera nerd.
But you know, I mean, I came away from that going, because that's pretty much that was pretty much the takeaway that I took from it. Was that thing for the money is probably what I'm trying to do with our cameras. So, well, that
Yeah, very cool.
So I think that's up for video on demand. So if you guys are interested, the beginner to pro broadcast.
Yeah, you just go to the B&H website. They have all of their in-house demos are in the video section of the B&H website. And you can see all of the tutorials that they do at the B&H headquarters there in New York. Yeah, it's very cool. So
Very cool.
So go on. There's lots of other great stuff on the B&H video website. Lots of tutorials, whether it's Photoshop or After Effects. There's all kinds of great information on there. But if you want to look for the Photo Joseph stream, you can.
So I think maybe it's time to dive in.
Let's dive in. How deep are we diving, though? That's the question.
Well,
there's a lot to talk about when it comes to software streaming. So I think we're going to kind of try to do the bird's eye view today, and then maybe in the future we can go.
You guys have some really good questions. So feel free to try to answer it the time we have. Yeah, you can go pretty deep with some of these, especially.
Yeah. Let's kick it off with I would say probably the most popular streaming software out there, OBS. OBS stands for Open Broadcast
Broadcaster
Software. And why is it called Open Broadcaster Software?
Because it is an open source project, which means that we're helping it build its own
boxes are being kicked.
Biggest one by far.
I like that.
I mean, it's open source, so
Can't argue with free.
it's free. The downside is you get what you pay for.
If I'm going to sort of argue the fact that and it means a lot of people are tutorial videos on YouTube, hacking it, testing all kinds of different plugins. Gameplay or set up a Twitch stream. Pretty easy to do that. In fact, that's what I've been using when I do some Twitch.
It's definitely the most popular way to do Twitch streaming, and that's, you know, again, it's free, so you know it fits within the budget of people who are trying to get started into that world, and you can run it. In some cases, we have these machines, the same machine that we're creating content on, and do the streaming at the same time. We'll go next week on tax. Any of the software we're talking about today, ideally a separate system, right? With capture card, AVIO. All of these are very popular today. OBS, Wirecast, XSplit, and Vmix all work with AVIO, and in some cases, some of them and AVIO as hardware.
Yep. So let's just back up the truck a little bit here. Why this? What is this? What does it do? Why are we using it for software?
So capture cards. I mean, there's a lot of capture cards out there. They've been around for a long time. Back in the day, they used to be an internal card you put into a slot inside the desktop. These days, with USB 3, you can do a lot externally. We've had some other shows talking about capture cards. AVIO 4K, they tacked onto the name now, and bring either HD or 4K content into your computer, where you would then use one of the software to actually
Very cool. So OBS, when you fire up your OBS and you want to add a video source, it's going to see this just like a webcam.
Exactly.
So that could be coming from any HDMI source that you need. OBS sees it like a webcam, and boom, you're ready to go. Pretty plug and play.
Exactly. And the same is true with the other one as well. So I guess the really big piece is why would you use one over the other? Now, obviously, we're talking about OBS being free, so I think it's safe to assume the other ones are talking about.
No, and OBS is the only of the four that we're talking about today. OBS is the only free one. That's great. OBS doesn't maybe have all of the features and all of the support that some of the others do. So why don't we talk about the next one on our list, XSplit. So what is XSplit, George?
XSplit is also an extremely popular software package that does much of the same things that OBS can do in terms of features. Both can bring in multiple video signals. Both can stream to a single destination at a time for the most part. I think you can do multiple, but I've had some spotty issues with doing that.
So with OBS, you can only stream to one destination. So
Currently,
you're streaming to either YouTube or Twitch or Facebook or any CDN of your choice.
Currently,
But you're not able to run multiple streams at the same time with OBS.
Right.
So that's definitely a limitation.
That could change. I don't. It just matter the community adding that functionality. XSplit, you know, I find that the interface, the advantages of XSplit is that the interface is very easy. Yeah, or pull up.
Yeah, I've got it
Dan's
open
share
here
there.
actually right
You
now.
see, it's a little cleaner than OBS. It's a little simple, straightforward. I find it really easy to get into key settings like your resolution and stuff like that.
Yeah, I see the resolutions right here on the
It's,
top.
there's a lot of information on the bottom of the system performance. It's very easy to get to. Pretty cheap to upload. It's listed there with a lot of CPU loads, so that's helpful. It's got a lot of basic features, and it's lacking some of the things that some of the ones we're talking about have. And I think, in general, starting with OBS and do your basics, and honestly, OBS is a very powerful application to do your green screens, all those sorts of things, as will XP. So there is a support line, there are updates. You actually get 2 different versions of XSplit when you buy it. You get XSplit Broadcaster and XSplit Game Center. Game Center is even more stripped down. It's like the most basic, everything taken out. Broadcaster is definitely the more powerful one.
And that's what I have open here.
Yeah, and
I see when I go to sources, like I can bring in a game, like if I'm playing a game or something, it'll bring that right in.
you can do auto detect, which a lot of others won't do, which is kind of a unique feature of XSplit. It's pretty fast.
See, I can add some text and titles. It's pretty basic.
Some of that stuff, some of that stuff's fairly straightforward. I'd say one of the drawbacks of XSplit is that you do need to know something about encoding, and in that I mean a lot of the other software packages out there have a quick preset list to choose from. Like if you're doing YouTube at 1080p, they'll have a preset for that, and you don't really have to know about the keyframes, bit rates, all this other stuff, or the audio encoding. Whereas with XSplit, you do have to know that stuff.
Okay.
Even if you choose YouTube as your option there, when you actually go to configure it, you do have to do all of those. They want you to sync your account first, but you actually have to do all of those settings manually.
Right.
That can be a pro and a con. I think it's a pro that I'm used to doing encoding settings. But if you're someone just starting out and you don't know encoding settings inside and out and backwards, that can be a little intimidating and something that has presets. Yes, it's light.
I mean, you could go searching on the web and find, depending on where you're streaming, if you're streaming to Twitch, they're going to recommend 720p at a certain bit rate. You can go find that information and plug it in, but it's nice if the software kind of does it for you as well.
One nice thing that's very similar to OBS, OBS has a lot of plugins that the community has created that you can add to OBS. It's a little bit clunky to do it, but again, if there's someone who's into that sort of open source community thing, adding those plugins is pretty easy. XSplit also has plugins that you can add or remove different functionality.
Okay.
So on a previous show, we talked about Restream and one service we would use Restream. There's actually a plugin for XSplit that you can use to have an API for Restream.
Oh, cool.
It's not part of the default install, but you can add it.
Yeah.
You can also add Twitch, Facebook, YouTube comments as plugins, or remove them if you want to use it.
That's nice.
So they do a plugin store a lot like OBS does, but it's really easy to get to. There's a bunch of pre-created ones, stripped down if you want a basic one. So I think it's pretty good, and it does do the comments don't fit every single one talking about the switch on.
Recording.
Yeah, so there's normal.
Yeah.
Things. XSplit recording actually, that's maybe another drawback. XSplit only offers 2 recording platforms, before and after. That's not the end of the world because they're very common ones, but if you're sort of looking to do something else, OBS, for example, you can do NKV, super noise. It's another option as well.
Very cool. When I'm on the, so I was looking at the XSplit website. It seems to me like they're marketing and they're really sort of tailoring their package for game schedule. Is that fair to say?
They are, but funny enough, the broadcaster version is definitely usable well beyond that. But I think their pricing model is also in line with that.
Okay, let's talk about pricing then. So OBS is free. XSplit, what is it going to cost me? I mean,
They have annual subscriptions, and they also have one-time pricing. So I don't know exactly what it was.
it wasn't business or you are a professional gamer maybe, it doesn't cover, you're not licensed to use it for that. And there's the premium license, which gives you some extra high-end studio features, it says, and it's licensed for professionals. And that license is actually not that expensive. You're looking at premium license, 36 months, source personal if you don't have personal, 36 month license is $250. So it's not that expensive, but monthly, that may not be. A lot of people don't like using monthly subscription fees.
But they do standard billing pattern, whereas most are single product.
Okay.
So from a business perspective, monthly fees allow a company to get recurring revenue. And also, typically, they're not going to charge you to upgrade the software because you are continually paying them anyway.
Right.
That's the same argument for why people these days buy Adobe Creative Cloud instead of buying the outright individual software packages, because you're just going to keep getting the other.
That's what I
Yeah. And everyone's been going that way. So that's what we want. It is different in this particular market.
Still relatively affordable for most people. It could be a good option, especially if you want to take advantage of that.
So you have one Bitcoin, you can buy export for the next hour.
Yeah, you can have multiple lifetimes.
Some of the things that get the export, and then I think it's there are certain options that
It's an encoded stream format, right?
Yeah, but it's intended to be essentially a lossless local stream in order to get your camera or another device over your local area network to your encoder without having to run physical video cable.
Gotcha.
So a lot of higher-end cameras are building that in as a codec if they have a network connection. So yeah, it's definitely for the professional, but it is becoming more and more popular, so I won't be surprised if it starts to trickle down into
all the software.
Yeah.
Do we have any questions rolling in? If you guys have any questions or comments so far, let us know. Next, anything there, George? You want to address right away?
No, not really at the moment, other than, not at the moment.
Okay, we're cruising right along then. So next on the list, we wanted to talk a little bit about Wirecast. I've got Wirecast up here. This looks a little bit different than the previous two because we have two windows. That's the first thing you notice, right?
Yeah, which you can actually do in OBS, but I find it really bogs it down when it renders two screens. It's just not quite as efficient.
And the purpose of having multiple windows is you can have your program window, and you can also have your preview window.
You can queue up a shot, and then.
So if you're doing a lot of switching, having a preview window definitely makes a lot of sense because you can queue up your content and then do transitions or fades or slide wipes. There's a lot of different ways that you can use a preview monitor, right?
And both OBS, XSplit, and Wirecast all have transitions, custom transitions, and the settings for all that. So again, that's a common feature across all of the things we're talking about today. But the interface definitely looks very different. Now, for me personally, I'm not a long-standing video production professional. That's not my line of work. So I look at Wirecast in comparison to XSplit, and I find it a little intimidating. But at the same time, I've been around it enough that I look at it and I go, but if I was this may be one of those.
So who is this? Who is Wirecast sort of geared towards? What is the typical...
I guess one advantage over XSplit, since their webpage just reminded me as you clicked on it, is the Wirecast has both a Windows and a Mac version. XSplit is Windows only.
Yeah, so actually, out of the 4 that we're talking about today, Wirecast
and OBS
are the only 2 that actually work on Mac. Right? So XSplit is your Mac is definitely, I have heard that Wirecast is maybe a little bit lots of features, lots of functionality, but also with great power requirements.
Questions coming in, please ask them. There is that Wirecast and it's very strong now. There's also the Wirecast Pro, which is a smartphone. So they do make other products. Also, it's a niche when I saw X-Split Center, which is a very stripped down, cheap version of safety. So both companies have officially, no. Can it? Yes. Create a custom and enter 4K. When I run it on this laptop, and I can do 4K encoding in OBS at 30. I don't know what
Okay, still, as far as streaming, we're still, it's maybe not quite there yet. No, it's pretty soft. Hardware device like the Pro 2 might actually be a better option.
And OBS can do it.
about vMix while we're on the topic. So I've got vMix interface open here. Just show you, it actually looks very similar to Fire.
That looks exactly like every broadcast.
This is designed to emulate what you'll see on professional broadcasting. So coming from the broadcast world right at home in the vMix software.
So I would say vMix and it's got everything.
No, I was quite impressed. I mean, just run down some of the features. I mean, you can use it with external controllers. So you can even use an Xbox 360 controller to set up your presets and shortcuts. So if you want to do your switches by smacking the keys, or even remotely, you can use a tablet or any Wi-Fi device. Yeah, it's like in terms of graphics, like I'll show you right here. It's very easy to set up some preset animated overlays. So it's got things like my lower third, a whole bunch of stock effects that they include for overlays and graphics. You can even do stingers, give you some features to record stingers using feature sequence. You can stream to multiple destinations. Let's see, yes, 4K.
You know, it's okay. So what's the drawback of vMix other than for me? I might be able to see it and consider it a little bit
So we are just trying to do some basic camera switches or basic picture-in-picture. vMix is probably vMix is really getting the most of the vMix we can use things like being able to do a scoreboard, whether a sports instant replay features for sports streaming. You can even control a PTZ camera within vMix. You can set up multiple monitors for outputs if you want reference monitors. All of those features are great, but if you don't need them, it's just cluttering up your experience. It's complicating your experience. So I would say the drawback here is
if I did want that, what's it going to cost?
okay, let's take a look. vMix. So vMix has a few different options. You see there's a tiered pricing system. For the basic HD version, which is going to cover off most of the functionality for the average person, we're looking at about $60 one-time price.
That's looking at that. That's not really offering anything more than what OBS or Xbox competitors.
Very true. So to jump up to some more advanced features, to be able to bring in guests on the call, for example, you can do that with the HD version, and that we're looking at $350.
So we're talking price-wise. What is that for Wirecast?
Record your various channels simultaneously and take advantage of some of those extra advanced features. You're looking at $700, or for the Pro version, $1,200. So it is getting a bit pricey. Now, one thing that's very cool, 60-day free trial. Okay, of the Pro version. It doesn't cost American. Unlock version.
chime in there, guys. Like, it seems like a lot of people in the chat right now say remix is the one. Remix is the way to go. There's some people saying I went to remix after Wirecast. something thinking of moving to does more less hardware levels. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there that, yeah, well, I can say so obviously,
somewhere.
Night in the teens, I think. Yeah, the second one there is most of the software we've talked about so far can ingest a stream from the network with either NDI or RTSP or both, and vMix is definitely part of that. Pearl 2 can output an RTSP stream just like an IP camera. So if you were trying to feed something that Pearl 2 is doing into vMix, that's how you would do it. You would ingest it into vMix by way of treating it like an IP camera. In reverse, using vMix to funnel into Pearl, you could do that. I don't know why you would, but you could.
Well, maybe you want to do some specific functions that...
Funny enough, this came up, and why you would do this, so I forgive me guys, because you want the switching. At the same time, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm missing something in the concept you guys have, and if I'm wrong, throw it in there. But definitely, all of those software have that option, like you mentioned, to output to a projector.
Yeah.
They call it, but it's a clean out to your second monitor on your computer, which you could set with other
so many setups out there, different people hacking together setups. Definitely. There's no reason why you can't have a combination setup. what's the best way to navigate for this?
I mean, again, these companies don't gotta kind of go a few notches above that if I really want it.
Usually when you get a minimum spec, that means the software will technically run, but you may not get something else in the background. Average 1080p stream. Seven processor as a start.
If you take their recommended specs, though, the first Ultrabooks are so cool, they're so easy,
processor, and he was saying, oh well, you know, we were recommended to use a 6770 HQ. That's a quad-core 5 gigabit processor, but you could even go a couple generations back to something like a 3770K, which is still goes up to about 3.5 gigahertz. It's still longer than you don't necessarily latest greatest. But you know, there are, you need to be aware of what the specifications of this processor.
start for any of the software we find.
Video sources, and you want to be able to record them while you're streaming the program. You're going to need a solid state better you don't want to be problem free. It's not
simple, easy to use, straightforward one like Webcaster, or something again geared more towards the
if you're using very easily get up and running. I was just playing around a little bit earlier today. It looks like my layouts didn't save properly, but the cool thing here is that the interface is super user-friendly.
Really easy.
Right?
So I first started playing with it a couple months ago, and I actually found it super buggy back then. It has improved a lot, but they don't do 4K. In some instances, they don't always do even 1080p. They're mostly focused around 720 for the most part. But for simple, easy to use, and essentially offloading a lot of that off your system, I would say the simplicity is like our focus point. Being the easiest, in my opinion. This is my opinion.
And at least for right now,
It is, yeah. And I've actually talked to them a little bit, trying to say, are they going to charge for 10?
at some point, I'm sure they will. Yeah, it looks like right now they're just trying to get. Now you can't obviously do advanced features like chroma key, can you?
No, there's layering, but it's not.
One thing that's kind of cool here is that setting my screen, it's very easy for me to select my destination. So I just log into YouTube. I don't have to know my encoding settings. I just choose YouTube and it kind of just works.
Well, that's one of the things maybe we should mention is that some of the software we talked about has direct API access to other platforms.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about vMix actually.
Yeah, so with vMix it does. It has, I'll show you here, when you're choosing your stream, I can choose from all of these. So if I go to YouTube stream now, I just log into my YouTube. I don't have to go into YouTube in a separate browser tab. I don't have to do anything like that. Yeah, you just basically choose your CDN and or you could go with the custom
had to pick one of these.
Well, I already have. I do my streaming because I don't have a lot of money to spend on expensive software, and I also don't need all the features.
So that's it. Let's continue with this professional.
If I was trying to do a professional high-end production, I'd probably choose interface, although many features, it's still pretty easy to understand what does what. I watched a few tutorials and it explains things extremely well, their tutorials. So if I had to choose a platform, major broadcasts online, probably
For me, I think if I was doing it at home, I'm going to use whichever platform I can either use video card drivers, which Twitch, restream, free live, drivers,
Shadowplay for video as well.
Facebook, so I would probably do that, but that's because I don't care about
You know what I like to do over is to use AVIO 4K, because then I'm not using my video card to do encoding, which when you're gaming, that's going to hit you great way.
upload it to another system.
Yeah.
That's that. Hit it perfectly.
Also, this is great with 4K. I don't even know if Shadowplay can do it. I think it does. So, like, if you want to do like 1440p streams, higher frame rate streams, then AVIO 4K is great.
So, I hope you guys learned something. I think we definitely did in just researching this. I think we both have pages and pages
Yeah.
of stuff.
I mean, we could go a full hour on each one of these platforms, right? We could break these down even further, but really, do your own research. If you're interested in vMix, download the 60-day full trial and take it for a test drive.
Download OBS, play around with it. Download Xcode, play around with it. The best part is all of these have some level of free that you can play with, and at the end of the day, what works for you may not work for us, and vice versa. So play with it and figure it out, and find out what's really the best for you and your workflow.
Great. So I think we will leave it at that. We need to get George rocking and rolling for Star Wars tonight. May the Force be with him.
Yep.
And for all of you, thank you for tuning in. We'll be here next Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern, as we are every week. So thank you very much for... next week,
Super special secret show.
well, you know what? Next week will be a good week to tune in because it's our last show before the holidays, and we have a special episode. So we're going to have some pretty cool recommendations on some last-minute gift ideas, and it should be a lot of fun. So join us then next week. But until then, I'm Dan.
I'm George.
So long.
Welcome to the show where we talk about our favorite live streaming software. If you're at a level 3 or 4, you can use vMix. And Tim from vMix is going to join us in about a minute. And I am so thrilled to have him on here. He's all the way from Australia. I tried to get him on at our noon time, but he said it's 3 a.m. We're going to answer all your questions, well, as many as we can. I know that everybody has a lot of questions, but we're going to talk about the benefits of vMix, the things that we need to think about, the capabilities that it has. And there's so many questions that come our way all the time. We want to give you a chance to just dig in. Okay? So that is what we are doing today. Now, let's set this up real quick for anybody watching this who is new or not heard about the four levels of live streaming. Do me a favor, type new in the comments. I want to give you a special shout out. But for everybody to know exactly what we're talking about when I talk about a level of live video. Level 1 is your phone. So going live from your phone and maybe add some gear to it as well. Level 2 is going live from the browser. browser on your computer, so like Facebook.com. And then level 3 is using software downloaded on your computer, most likely it's your laptop. Can cause some problems and stuff, but like WeCam on the Mac, or Linux on the PC, or even some of you use Wirecast, right? So that's a level 3, and then level 4 is a dedicated PC using Linux and Linux only. That's what it takes to be level 4, and then also it's TV quality, right? Like you have extra gear, you are also strategically using live videos and marketing strategy. So that is what the 4 levels of live streaming are. With vMix, this software is our favorite that we use just because of the capabilities and options that you have, the growth that you can do. So we're going to dive into a lot of that today. Now, I want you to know that it is a level 3 or a level 4. So not level 2, not level 1. All right? So if you have questions, bring them on. If you have comments, bring them on. What level are you? Let us know in the comments. Type your level of live stream in the comments. Now, real quick, maintenance thing. Philip, can I get a refresh social? Vmix social. Which allows us to bring your comments on screen. So you guys will see that here in just a second. Okay, let's see. We have Anne says, looks like you had a cup of coffee. I'm a little excited. All right, let's bring Ken from Vmix on. Welcome.
Hello, thanks for having me on the show today.
Wait a second. Are you
Can't hear
here?
me?
Are you in here in studio? Because you're on David's set.
Yeah. It's just a short walk across the studio. I know we're playing it up. I'm from Australia and all that, but yeah, no, thanks for having me in the studio today. I really appreciate it. It's a beautiful set here, and yeah, it's great to be here all the way in Camas.
Oh yes, that's where we are. Camas, as he likes to say it, Washington.
No, that's the proper way to say it. We've been over this. That is the correct way to say it.
Yeah, so that's how GPS says it, isn't it? Okay.
That's how the Uber driver says it too.
Oh, that's how the Uber driver, yes. That's right, I forgot about that. Okay, so we've got lots of questions already coming in. So let's back it up. Let's talk at a brief level, like overview level, about what Vmix is. So describe what Vmix is.
Yeah, so Vmix is software that you can install to a PC that will allow you to create live video. That's kind of the basics of it. And hacking the live video production includes elements like images, videos, titles, cameras, content from social media, PowerPoint slides, websites. Pretty much anything you can think of, you can kind of add to a live video production, mix it all together, hence the vMix, like video mix all the elements together, and then you can bring it out to the world, record it, like a big screen, play it locally. So it's kind of like a Swiss Army knife video production for live events and that type of thing.
They get set up with a live streaming software. With Vmix, they actually other things. It's a robust system to be able to take tablet of course. Okay, so let's talk about the fact that this is a almost every software out there already this software. So we'll talk a little bit more in depth about that. But let's get the elephant out of the way.
There's no elephants in here, as you know, we're in the same studio.
That was just
Well, I figured it was a cue, but I didn't want to play up to it. Playing up to this cue puts the pressure back on the I'll let it sit for a while.
You guys just beware. Just beware of the banana. So it is PCO, so we have to talk about it.
Working within the parameters of computers and graphics and encoding and processing and all that kind of stuff that you need for live video production, we found that the Windows-based best for live video encoding and processing. And that's not to say that Macs aren't great for post-production and editing and a million other different things. It's just that the video encoding isn't quite there on Mac. Phoenix uses the GPU processing hardware and due to the fact that a lot of AAA games that we see on the internet playing games on Twitch and that kind of thing, all of that stuff is heavily focused towards Windows gaming. Like there's not too many people. A lot of the games aren't available.